מקפץ על הגבויס דווקא. מדלג, skipping is the horim, the Tzurim. But dafke the avoida, the pnimistic avoida of the midas apisechel and so on. So that's the avoida of the true mekapets. And that creates the dira as explained yesterday, like the Sarepta is down. Well, we did the first paragraph too. So now we're up to Bira Inyan. So the Bira Inyan of being Baruch Havaya Lekei Yisrael Mino Eilo V'ad Eilo, which explains Dam Shocher that Eden and Mamshech from Alma Diskasia to Alma Disgalia and Baruch they Mamshech it all the way down. And it's only through that, like going from Rosh Tzurim to Mikvois Ashereno, gets Min Ha'olam V'ad Ha'olam, from Alma Diskasia to Alma Disgalia. So only through that is the Avodah achieved as Makapes V'Beizad V'Megalayim, which is the Dira to the Eibishter as he's beyond the Shtalshlus completely. Bira Inyan, continuing now on page 177. Explained elsewhere at length, the difference between the two elamus, the two states of being. This is like we find in this world. Gufa itself, the difference being creatures in the sea, which is Discasia, and dry land. Why is that? Behind the Fishan, why are we seeing this even in Alma Disgalia? We're seeing this property of Alma Disgalia, it explains in the square brackets. Torah is written in such a way of klolos protis, which means general and then specific. And that means to say, even in the specific, there's the general, and in the general, there's the specific. It's all interrelated, never ending, playing itself out on all of these relative planes. So therefore, even in Elam Haza, you have all these inyonim, Shaprat Gufa, Krelo Kama Vakama Protim, that even though it's a detail relative to the bigger picture, but in that detail itself, it contains a klal to relatively greater detail. Therefore, even in this world, which is a prat, means to say it emerged finite detail from a higher plane, but since the Torah is integrated in protus, klolos of protus, therefore, in Alma Disgalia itself, you have this union of Alma Disgasia, namely Brim Shabiyom. It's manifest in the creatures of the ocean. Shem Betugmas, they parallel, they're similar to, they're a reflection of Abruim Shalma Disgasia in their truer form in a much higher spiritual plane. So what do we see? The Abruim Shalma Disgasia and Betugmas Dogim Shabiyom. So that which exists, the creatures in Alma Disgasia, like the Dogim in the sea. What do we see? As soon as they're removed from the source of life, they die. By whereas creatures on dry land. Even everything comes from the earth, as the pasuk says, everything comes from the earth. And everything to survive, you need the things that the earth produces. Like the pasuk says, earth from which bread comes forth. The mashakos of lechem doesn't just mean only bread. Everything we need comes from the earth. It's all called bread. What do we see nonetheless? Next page, if you have it, the creatures on dry land are their mitzias, they remain existing. That's the simplest thing. Remain existing when they are on the earth. Whether they're floating, swimming in the sea, or fly for that matter. They still retain their independence, the mitzias, we don't see the overt connection to the earth. So the Baruchnius, the Baruchnius, the same is also true. Baruchnius in the brackets here. It's not saying the Adram, the contrary. Baruchnius and Yonim by Sibbolakach, Shekin Begashas, because things are that way spiritually. It's why things are that way physically. So it's not just likewise. It's really because it's Baruchnius that way. That's why it plays itself out Begashas. So therefore, how is it? Is it Baruchnius? Shaifen and Betzis Ba'al Mediskasia. So that which exists in Ba'al Mediskasia, Malachim, Neshamas, and so on. Hishanivra Yedeyos Masiges Bechinas Ayin Amahava. Al Mediskasia means a hidden world, means that everything there, it's called hidden for two reasons. Number one, it's hidden from us, and number two, it's hidden in that which exists there is hidden within, absorbed within the source. Not separate, doesn't emerge as separate from the source. What that means is, he says, that which existed knows and grasps the godly ayin, the divine energy, which is beyond the tamahav, which brings it into being. And is bottled, therefore. And since he knows that his whole existence is dependent, and he feels and grasps it consciously, his whole existence depends on the chayas alikhi. He can't separate from it, and won't. It cannot, like the fish in the sea. But in the emerged worlds of Mitzios, this is beyond and lower. It's all relative. So the creations that emerge there are created in the way that they appear and experience themselves as separate. Not only separate, but nifrad means divided, and nifrad means was separate. Separate means just no connection to the elikus. Not just removed, but I know I come from there. Nivdal can mean I removed, I come from there. Nifrad means completely severed. Yafa became Yishab Mitziyusay, and still he retains his Mitzius with being completely oblivious to the Chayas Eliki. Why? He doesn't even know, without avodah, without discovery, there's something with three things in Mahava, brings him into being Yeshmayin, Machaya, animates him, Makayim, keeps him going. Yesterday is oblivious to that. Moreover, looking in the Alma Discussion, moving. Now the thing is, self-understood, as we probe deeper and understand the difference, in the Alma Discussion, it's understood, even the Alma Discussion, it's not that the creatures, the Malachim, the Shamas, truly grasp the Koyach Ein Sof, which brings them into being, because then they would lose all sense of independence, wouldn't it be creatures altogether? Shosayim is battled mitziyusa. They would be this battle. So what do we mean when we say we grasp? We mean like this, not truly experience the Ein itself. They'd be totally bottled. Biyah would dissolve out of its existence. Amna meaning zerorad benegel asagas amavus. What they're not grasping is literally the stuff itself. They're not experiencing the actual Ein itself. And we'll soon say what they do feel. If the niv, talking here about it again, it's all relative. It's even Atzilus relative to the Ein itself. But if the nivra would grasp fully experience the Dvar Hashem, which brings him to being, he would lose all sense of independence. That's not the kavanah. So what does he grasp? Living in this loftier, more rarefied world. Alma Discassia, what does he have? He knows, and it's completely transparent, the existence, the fact really, that he comes from and is being created every moment. That fact is the idea that is grasped and known. It's like Bittul Hayesh. He knows that there's the divine word that is bringing him, that is animating him. Even though he doesn't grasp what it is, because it's totally beyond him, but he feels his total dependence on this higher force. What is the higher force? He cannot experience, because then he will become nullified. He knows of its existence. And that's not because he read it in the book or somebody told him. He knows of it because that's revealed there. The Metzias of Elikus is revealed. What is Elikus is not. But if there is Elikus, yes. Clear? That's simple language. This knowledge of there is an Eibishter. What is the Eibishter, or what is the Ein Sof, he cannot grasp. The Nivra in Almed is Kassia. But that he is, this knowledge, he knows it, and therefore he feels it. It affects his experience, his feeling. It doesn't allow him experientially to leave his source of life, understanding, and therefore feeling a total dependence. So that's fine-tuning what we mean by the bitl of Alma discussion. Like the Dogim Shabiyah, yeah? Whereas in the emerged worlds, the revealed worlds, our world, and all relative to whatever world you speak before, again, Teres Klolus Pratis. There was a prat for a higher klal becomes a klal for a lower prat. Everything is integrated and constantly played out on all of these endless planes, and we've explained why that is, because it's one Eibishter and one Kavanah giving rise to all of this, hence this oneness that pervades the whole system, the never-ending repeating models. At any rate, finishing the paragraph, that they created with this through a sense of separation, divided and therefore separate. But in this world, you can have a fact, a mitzias, an entity like Paroi, who says, I don't know what you're talking about, never heard of the God you speak of. Well, there's one thing, I don't know God. And then even lower than that, I am, he said, the ultimate klipper, I, and aside from me, there's nothing. I'm the only reality. Complete self-absorption and self-worship. That's why, because of the fact that the Bruyim of Alma Disgali are created in the way of Havdol, of separate. In general, it's Malchus Datzilus that conceals and creates and gives rise to creation that do not feel their source at all. It's all relative. Bria does relative to Asiya and so on. Now we're going to go even further. Further elaboration, explanation. Yedua Achidul bin Alma discussing Alma Disgalia, the taste with greater and expanded explanation. By drawing the parallel with that within ourselves, looking at the difference between thought and speech. You have another copy? Taking a picture. You want the next page, right? 178 and 179. Mr. Shall make more copies today, but tomorrow we'll have a lot of copies. So looking at now at Machshav and Dibri al Piadugma, yeah, in a close in Adibur mitzad Azulus. So speech is only for the other. Shariluli Azulus, if not for the other, mitzad Atzmai. For himself, in a Gam Kasher, Kol and Yonami, Yishal bin Machshav, even if he would never speak, and everything would remain in his thought, well, the Avoy the Dibur Klal. So as far as the person himself is concerned, he's not lacking for anything. And the person doesn't know what's going on, but that's the other person. Even if he's telling someone to fulfill a desire of his, giving an instruction, you need speech there, because the other person won't know what to bring. That he should now get that which he lacks. It's not that he needs to speak. The other person needs to know what I want. So I'll speak. That matter, he can write it. which is even a further expression. Maybe in a position where he needs the other person to bring him, give him something, so he has to express it, but it's not because he needs the speech. It's all in order to communicate. It's communication that the other should get what I want. Therefore, even within himself, I know this further, so I'm doing this now. 1 second, that's what he's saying. אבל בעניונים שבהם אין הסערבוס הזולוס, היינו שנזוקת לזולוס, כיוון שיוכל לעשות בעצמו. Okay, mid-sentence. Therefore, even those things that he speaks, it's got to be those things that are related to begin with to the other. Let's finish the sentence. But those things where the other has no place, the things he doesn't need others for, because he can do it himself, he doesn't need speech. So the point he's saying here is, the things that he can do himself, he doesn't need speech for. The only things that he needs speech for, why would he tell the other person? Because he can't do it himself. So these are all very extraneous things to him. It's only things that are extraneous to him that he would need to speak dibur extraneously to somebody else to get. Things that are in his world that he can get himself, doesn't need dibur altogether. So it's two things he's saying. Even in the world of, if he's going outside of himself to get something, to do something, doesn't need dibur there either if he can do it himself. It's only something that's outside his domain, so he's going to ask, and the other person will respond. All pointing to the whole function of dibur is for not the self, but to get something not in my orbit, and that I can't even get it myself. I'll communicate in speech to somebody else. Right? It's pointing to the externality of dibur. It's all for the zulus, all for the world outside of me. And even a world that I can't attain myself. If I can attain it myself, I still don't need it. That's how external it is. Clear? Second line, our thoughts are for the self. Even though we're calling it a garment, so if it's a garment that implies extraneous and external to the body of the person, to the body of the nefesh, should not confuse the two. Machshava is not seichel or midah. It's where you invest. It's where you're communicating to yourself what you understand, what you feel. You're thinking about the idea. You're thinking about the feeling. It's a levush. It serves seichel and midas. So it's external. But nonetheless, but we see, in order for the person to understand well that which he had grasped, this happens so quickly that we don't differentiate. But the emphasis is that pure seichel is higher than language. It comes from the koyach hamaskel, it's just this purely ability to grasp things. It goes quickly into machshava. There's levels of bina. External bina needs machshava. But overall, yes, bina is already b'chlal, bina is where machshava kicks in. So we see, therefore, that in order for a person to understand his seichel, you got to think about it, analyze it. And you need language and words there. He's got to. It's not like, this is useful. If he does not invest it in the kecha machshava, which is where the world of bina is, bina needs machshava, in other words. The luli zois, actually is havana. Again, bina, basodya, without thinking, is not going to have that havana. Pardon? Yeah, bina is the ability to analyze, but you need the language, the tools of which to put all this analysis into, all this compartmentalization. It's behechrich. You have to have these lapshus, in machshava. So all to say that machshava is very internal and critical to the person himself, notwithstanding the fact that it's a garment. It's like an internal office memo. But more than that, as you said, it's bina, it's the internal rumination. This is all to explain, to use as a model to explain alma disgalya and alma disgasya. So because of this distinction in a machshavi, levusha kodev, levusha pnimi. So we can see that it's a garment, but it's very intimate, close, and intimate. It doesn't go out, right? Thankfully, no one can read our thoughts. It remains united with him. I shouldn't say no one. It never did.
Can you machshava go chutz if you put it into dibur?
Can it what?
Go outside if you put it into dibur.
Yeah, the Talmud through great effort eventually can walk through the words and discover the machshava and even the pnimis hasech. But he's only going to get the machshava you put into those dibur. That dibur is not going to get anything else you thought. But that which you invested in the dibur, through avodah 40 years, depending how deep those words were, the idea was. But machshava in the dibur eventually can be discovered. But the machshava itself again, it doesn't go out. Remains united with him. So much so, this is a point Chassidus always makes, that just like the soul is ever present, you don't live, die, and then live again, you're always alive, doesn't turn off. A person has to be always thinking, because that's how closely united it is with the nefesh, that it's always active, it's flowing all the time. The Yosek Shudab HaNefesh bound up with the nefesh, so the nefesh is constantly alive and expressive of its life. So to machshava, such an intimate garment, is likewise always in a state of expression. It has this property that just does not stop. You don't have to speak all the time, you still don't have to act. There are garments that you can take on and off at will. The machshava, you cannot divest yourself of it. The machshava, meditation tries to. You want to get to the closest to stilling the thoughts, but you can't stop the thoughts. They'll still be entertaining something in your head. Hopefully something very simple and very... That's what they're trying. It's the never-ending quest for total silence, but never fully arriving, because as long as you're entertaining. Consciousness is consciousness, and consciousness needs machshava. Whereas dibur, so dibur is completely separate. I say those words and it's gone, recorded in your head. It's separate, moves away from him and revealed to the zulas. So this is all a model to help us understand with greater clarity and depth the difference between alma disgalya and alma disgasya. Let's go further. Opinion is barely said before. Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam. The whole avodah of Yisrael is to bring down mamshich baruch halikus min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam from the yumshich ma'amad disgasya alma disgalya. That's what the Eibishter wants. That the revealed, emerged world of dibur should feel the machshava behind it all, as it were. The point, right? You were just saying, so this is the whole purpose of creation. Last is place, but the b'tachtonim in general terms that could be revealed the matter. I know, shekol mitzias hazolus v'achutza. That the entity of the other and the outside. God made an other, He made an outside, that's us. Yet that should all be permeated with His very presence. So Hashem speaks the world into existence. God said, right, creating a world of independence. In those words, He created the Zulas. And the kavanah is that in those words, we should decode those words and discover the machshava and the primis machshava, the author and the one behind it all, that it's all expressive of Him. So in order to have a dira, so a dira needs physical things. That's what he wants. He wants a dira b'tachtainim, to make tefillin b'klaf gashmi, tefillin with physical klaf, al derez b'shara mitzvahs. Likewise, the other mitzvah tzitzis, but semagashmi, physical wool. What does he bring his example? The whole ted is compared to tefillin. And therefore, it's a symbol of all mitzvahs which are dafka bagashmius. And it doesn't mention tzitzis because I guess it's obvious that tzitzis reminds us of the Torah mitzvahs, right? As Rashi explained in the Pasha Shlach. So likewise, like in the same way, the Eibishter wants dafka that in the tachtim should be the dira in the dvarim gashmim. So the whole kavanah is that not remain in mashov but come into dibur. And from dibur, the most external step, maisa. Kidvar ha-mishnah, as the Mishnah rules, shah-maisa ikan. The main thing is the deed.
So go from the Eibishter's dibur to our maisa.
And to the Eibishter's, to our maisa, even the Eibishter's maisa, I'm not sure. Because it's the dibur that brings all existence into being. Seems to me, it seems our maisa. Yeah, seems so. I mean, even though it speaks of Hashem's actions, maisa yodai, the works of my actions. So for our purposes, that's dibur for the Eibishter. For the Eibishter, a spoken word is like an action. On a physical level, the king says, since there's nothing that can prevent it, like it's done already. So there's a fluid connection. In our world, not. You can say, in Lav Dafka, the action of what you intended, which articulated in speech, will happen. So we have to go to this next step of Maisa. The Eibishter dibur Maisa is al derech. It's one thing. Malchus is dibur, at the same time it's governance, it's Maisa. So in our world, the focus is us. The Maisa Iki shal yodid nishlemes hakavan el yoyna, through which you will complete the kavan el yoyna. Elo. Oh, is he saying this? She'ein maspik shiyad dibur malchus kamva Maisa k'fi shul atzmai. Talking about us now. It's not enough that we should bring all the inyanim into dibur. It's when davening and learning and speaking good things. And even in action, but an action remains in his world. No, sorry. An action that stands independent. I'm not sure what he's saying. Let's learn further. Let's see it together. Because just some words and actions can be separate and distinct. Allah has come becoming in a mice, and especially how much more so action. As we said in the previous Modim. The previous Ambata Yigdal, the faculty of action, it's divided, different, separate. Even animals can act. So we don't want action. What he's referring to is kind of it's a veiled reference to Koirach. Koirach was saying, Koirach means division. Koirach was a pikeh, explaining Lenti Chassidus, he was a pikeh, a very clever fellow, and he was a prophet and all kinds of what did he want? Because Koirach was looking at the mile of Maisa alone. His time was the daf we learned about this a couple of years ago. Look at the Gemaime. Hasam Lav Shein B'Chayim, Gimel Tmuz Maime. That's when it came out, Gimel Tmuz. Yeah, he came out Gimel Tmuz that year. So Koirach, seeing now the kavanas in the tachtim, etc., he sought to maintain that division. Because Maisa Siyah Le'ela, main thing is the action. It appears that Rebbe is saying here is that no, even though the action of mitzvah is taken, it's got to be permeated with kavanah, with alma discussia. That the Maisa itself, min ha'olam ad olam, should be the fusion of both worlds, of Geruchnius, of the Likus, and transcendence, and Elam Hazeh. That's the Tachlis HaKavanah, not just the action itself. Even though Taka Atzmos is in Maisa Mamish, but it's got to be the Giluy of Atzmos. It's got to be Giluyim. That's what we think. That's what he's saying here. Let's see it inside. And then we'll tell the story. Okay, finish the ois. V'lchein tzorich liyos ha'inyin debaruch havayim min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam. This seems to be the point. It's not just the mice itself, but you have to be mamshich from alma discussion, from these worlds where there's an appreciation of alikus and this bittul and this ava and this yira, all the milas of the olam is elyonim, even though they don't have, as you said before, yediyas hamahus, but they do have the yediyas hamitzias. That's what Chassidus does. It gives us ideas and mitzias. We've got to draw down from the higher, rarefied worlds into Alma Disgali. Should be one thing, one domain, for the singular reality of the world, the Eibishter. There's no two domains. It's one world, Alma Disgali and Alma Disgali. And that looks beautiful. What's coming next is Eruvin. He just talked about two, looks beautiful. The two domains, the public domain, that's our world. The thing's open and divisive and in conflict. And the Shus HaYochid, the singular domain, that's Alma Disgasia. You have to fuse the two. We continue Beis Hashem tomorrow.